Okay, this is part 2 of Dan Kite's interview. Part 1 started in...
Actually, this is about part 6.
oh yeah, I guess so.
Whatever.
Last time we recorded was in 2015 for
April.
Now we're in September of 2016. So we've covered work, history, and now
well, we got through the
we got through meeting mom for your personal life. You got all the way through meeting mom and getting married.
Okay, and I think
then you went into jobs.
Went all the way to the mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think I told about meeting your mom.
Yeah, you did. You got all the way through.
And let's see, how far did we get to the point where we were still in school or in college, or had we gotten out of there?
Yeah, what made you go into the jobs was you talked about marrying mom, and then you went into your jobs, like the succession of jobs you had to support y'all.
Well, to get the jobs, I had to finish school. And I was junior, I think, when we were married, and I worked offshore in the spring. We got married May 26th, I think.
Yeah, 1973.
And I started classes on June 2nd or 3rd or something like that. And anyway, it was solid school from there on in. We got a little trailer from Robert, 12 by 50, parked it on the south side of Ruston. And it's pretty good. We had a little Comet. And I'd already been working at the service station for quite a while, so I kept doing that. Picked up another couple of little jobs, just once a week, cleaning the church and this, that, and the other. I think I may have talked about this stuff before.
You covered all the jobs.
Okay. But in any event, got through school, finished up in March of '75. Really enjoyed that part of school because it was a lot of practical stuff. It's one thing I liked about the engineering. Once you got the basics out and got through calculus finally, it was a lot of fun. Remember, acoustic course in particular has been a lot of fun.
Didn't you take calculus 2, 3 times?
Yeah. Or it may have been 3. Yeah, I think it was the third one. Because it was the only practical one that I saw. And then I never used it, not once in my lifetime. I used the results of somebody doing calculus, but whatever. Anyway, personal life, I don't think I went to church during that period of time anywhere. It was just working. I worked every Sunday. And we'd go back and forth to Ruston. Back and forth to Woodland from Ruston. Too often. But got kind of rough there for a while. Of course, Anna lost Matthew. That's what we chose to name him. He was not premature. He was, what's the right terminology? Early birth, whatever you want to call it. Miscarriage. There we go. And that was tough on Anna and I. But did a lot of interviewing off campus and stuff when I got out of school. We moved to, Anna worked at Walmart, just to mention those things. That was back when I think that was the 17th Walmart of all those that were built and are in existence today. I think Sam Walton visited the store once or something. I don't know if Anna even saw it. But he wasn't famous then. He's getting that way. I don't know, ask me some questions.
Tell me what a typical day in your life was like back then.
Oh gosh, during school?
No, when you were done with school, living with mom.
Done with school, living with your mom. Shucks. I graduated on March the 5th and went to work on the 10th.
March or May?
March.
Because it's a quarter system?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Anyway, I went to work almost immediately. I accepted the job over the Christmas holidays, and with Shell Pipe. Going downtown was wild. I tell you, we drove into town in that Comet, and we would almost literally ducking our heads every time we went under an underpass. I remember we were following a truck carrying a huge propeller for a boat, and we just swore that thing was going to come down. It scared the daylights out of it. We moved our little trailer from Ruston up on in the Jersey Village area, off of 290, just a little ways. And shucks, it was get up, go to work. I left early enough. I usually got to work around 6:30 at the latest, but I wanted a decent parking spot. I found a spot off of downtown between Memorial and Allen Parkway on a bridge, and I would park there and walk through the Coliseum to get to work. And anyway, that, you know, and then go home. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the car got broken into one time. Somebody just busted the windows out, and it didn't do any other damage to speak of. And I don't remember anything. We didn't have anything of value in it in the first place, so they didn't get anything. At least that's what I remember. Your mother may remember differently. But one day she was supposed to pick me up on that bridge, and I went to the bridge, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and finally gave up and walked down Memorial Parkway to 610 Loop from downtown, and got lucky and saw her going away from downtown on the access road for 610 Loop, flagged her down, finally got home. But you know, it was interesting. We lost Joseph during that time. That was 75 when I started working. We lost him in August.
August 18th.
Yep. He was, I think he weighed 400 grams, a little under a pound. But he survived for about 18 hours, I believe it was, from one day to the next anyway. And that was a tough experience. That was back when I had the little, Vega. I don't know if if I mentioned any of this before, stop me, because I don't want to.
You have.
I tell her no. Well, I'm trying to figure out where it was.
You told me all the work and all the cars. What I'm trying to get to is like
personal life.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't know our neighbors real well there in the trailer park we lived in Jersey Village area. There was one couple across from us that we got to know pretty good. Anna made friends, of course, everywhere as we went, and she kept up with them for quite a while, and then we lost track of them. Other than that, we knew our neighbors, but not very well. Again, it was running back and forth to Louisiana and doing a lot of visiting.
So is that what filled up your evenings and weekends?
Weekends, it was pretty much every other weekend we were in Louisiana. It was just like clockwork. And I don't know, wasn't anything I could do about it. We just had to go, so we went.
Just visiting her family or yours too?
A little of both, but mostly hers. And,
did you get along with them then?
Oh yeah, got along with them almost all the way through. I did tick her. I think I've told you about the lawyer there in Ruston, but I don't know. I just blew that off and went on. And used to go junking with your grandpa. And he just hit every junkyard. He knew where they all were, all out in the piney woods. We'd get an old mower or some other thing he could fix real easily and sell or use. That was always interesting. It's amazing what people throw away, but that's never changed. You know, it was just work. I gained about 20 pounds pretty quick, eating lunches that Anna fixed and I took to work. We were in the Milam building, I think, then. Just not a whole lot happened there in Ruston. It was pretty quiet.
You were in Jersey Village now.
in Jersey Village.
So then you went from Jersey Village up to Indianapolis?
Yeah, got up to Indianapolis in '79, and I did not want to. I didn't feel like we could afford a house, even though we could have bought one very easily with the job that I had. So we purchased a mobile home, and a bigger one. To us, it was, like buying a new car or whatever. And we were very comfortable in it. It's a little trailer park in a little community called Westfield, due north of Indianapolis, about 30 miles. Had a lot of interesting stuff happen while we were there, with snowstorms and blizzards and things of that nature. Again, I think I've talked about some of that stuff. But we got to be real good friends with Jeannie Lewis and her husband, because they took care of you when Granny wasn't taken care of. Anna was real close to Granny. I wasn't nearly so close as she was.
The battery light is now flashing. I don't know how it went
Yeah, it's
from
kind
full
of
to
goofy.
there.
I got several more batteries in there that
How do you pause
should
it?
work. You want to pause it?
Yeah, it's gonna die.
Well, sometimes you almost got to wait till it dies,
All right,
because
keep going.
if you see it dead,
So you went right over me being born.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I have.
No, you
yeah,
did.
I have. Okay, I'm already into Jeannie and them. So, anyway, that was really interesting, because I was, and of course, I think I talked about that earlier, because I was on an emergency repair on a pipeline.
They flew you in.
And I was flown up there with some welders to observe and do whatever, and came in. We finished up late. I think it was Saturday night, no, it must have been Sunday night. And I got in at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and went into the office about 8 the next morning. And I think Al Havey told me, he says, you need to call your wife, or I forget exactly how he said it, but he let me know you were on your way with or without me. But they had already made arrangements to get a private plane and fly me back down. Of course, I got there late. You were already there. But that worked out quite well as far as I was concerned, I guess. I guess I'd like to have been there, but I miss John too. For different reasons. But yeah, I'll never forget you eating that ding dong for your first birthday or something like that. Jeannie like to had a fit. You made a mess, but it was cool. And I don't remember you crying to speak of at all. Either one of you, you or John. Y'all may have, but I'm a pretty light sleeper. I think I'd probably remember that. I'm sure y'all did to some extent, but not like you hear so many other kids. I can remember, let's see, were you there when, no, you'd have been, I was trying to remember which winter we went sledding with Johnny Green and his family. We got real close to them too. In fact, quite a few people, because it was just that kind of environment there in Indy. We went, let's see, what was the name of that river? It's on the west side of the state. Pretty famous for canoeing and that kind of thing. Again, I still think I told you about that, because it came along and worked. That was the one where we went skiing and had to, not skiing, but canoeing, and had to carry the canoes. Yeah, okay, got that covered. I didn't do any church in Indy either.
Any memories of me and John when we were little?
Not at that age. Shoot, I was running so much it was just flat crazy. Driving back and forth to Kentucky in the middle of the night and things. It was busy for me. And I'll tell you, Granny and Jeannie, I probably saw as much of you at Jeannie's as I did at our house. But, I can remember the first trip we took, we still had the Cutlass, and we came home with you and put you in a bassinet in the back seat. And you were about as comfortable as anybody could have ever been, I think, because you didn't make hardly a peep the whole time. that worked out well. Of course, no, I think we had seat belts in that car. Probably ran a seat belt through the bottom of the bassinet or something. Let's see, trying to.
Your son was born?
Yeah, and that was one. Let's see, he was 79 in June-ish.
July.
July, yeah. Trying to remember the circumstances on that one. But anyway, your mother, I'm thinking it was around 10 or 11 o'clock at night. She said it was time to go to the hospital. Well, we thought we had time to drop you off at the hospital. That's probably something, not the hospital, but at Jeannie's before we went to the hospital. And that was too much of a push. We should have let that ride and just took you with us. Because by the time we dropped you off and started back.
I'm not going to be able to hear you with all that.
Yeah, let them get out. Still got some battery?
Still flashing.
Hey, sometimes that thing acts kind of weird because I just charged that battery. They're just about gone. That's a pretty dog. Anyway,
so you thought you had time to drop me off?
yeah, I thought I had time to drop you off. I was, of course, we did still have the Cutlass, I think, then. But anyway, I ran a bunch of red lights and whatever and got you there. But by the time I parked the car or dropped your mother off in emergency, parked the car, went back upstairs to where you were, asked the nurse about going in. She says, "You're too late." And it's one of the few things your mother's ever done real quickly. But I missed him. In fact, I ended up in Pasadena by myself for a week or so on the next transfer while you and your mom came down and left John with Evelyn, if I remember correctly, in New Orleans for a week or two, something like that, while we found a house. I don't know, were you with Evelyn, or do you have any memory of that? Or
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I thought I went with Momo.
You may have. You may have.
John went with Ven's kid, or somebody. That is Ven.
John
John went with Ven.
Yeah, she stayed with Ven. Or
John went with Ven, and I think I went with Momo.
That sounds about right.
Or no, Gail or somebody. I don't know.
I don't remember.
One of the relatives.
Anyway, but we got back down to Houston. That was when when Anna flew down to look for a house. I was going to be working in Pasadena. We looked there, and that's when, I think it's 21 inches in 24 hours. I guess we may have beat that record recently. But everything we looked at the first day we couldn't even get to. So that's what drove us north to Kingwood. Found that got the little house in First Springs. Now I can remember us, let's see, going to Eisenhower Park. They had some nice stuff for y'all to run and play on. We went to the pool there maybe every once in a while, but not very often. Y'all played a lot just right there in the backyard. We had some good neighbors. We weren't real close to them, but we certainly knew them. Didn't socialize with them to speak of.
Yeah, we did. Rosemary.
Yeah, but we didn't go out to dinner and do stuff like that.
We went
knew
over
them
to their
real
house,
well.
though.
And they were good friends. In fact, Jim, I see him every once in a while when I go in to get my car inspected, because he ended up doing that in his retirement just to kill time. But, yeah, back in Houston, work was a bear back then, too, because I ended up in project coordination after I got through out of Pasadena.
Any stories from me and John, or?
That's what I'm trying to remember, things there that we did or y'all did. Of course, that was when you guys, I think you, of course, I was trying to think on the school thing, what year you started school.
I was in kindergarten.
When we first got there.
Then we moved to Louisiana for 9 months.
Yeah, now that was cool because we had y'all were real close to the Bergerons, who owned the the little trailer, and we're up front. Mr. Bajon used to get a kick out of y'all watching you run around in the yard and play. I don't know if you can remember it, but he'd clean fish back on I think he had one of those little wire roller things that he cleaned his fish on. You had ear problems back then, I remember that for sure. And we'd run back and forth to Mom and Dad's. They were pretty close at that point, if I remember. Weren't they in Morgan City while we were in Thibodeaux? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So we got to see them a little bit more. And y'all played in that sandbox there in the backyard. Some of it with Jason and them. It's a wonder y'all survived. But it's kind of funny, too. I think Michaela had a similar experience with, what's Connie's grandchildren on Joey's kids. Gosh, I can't remember their names now. Chloe?
That's Jason's kids.
Jason's kids, okay. Anyway, they tried to drown her here a while back. So anyway, I'm trying to think. Now John, no, he was too young. He played football, but that was when we came back from Michigan, I believe, for Creekwood.
That was in '88.
I'm trying to remember. We made a bunch. We made trips. Did we go to L.A. before or after? I think we went to L.A. after we came back from Michigan.
That was in '89.
Was that '89? So yeah, we came back in '88. I'm trying to think. I wish what I need's a picture album, because we've got some good ones. I've not scanned all those in yet, but I have intentions of doing that. Your mother's probably got 20 albums, and that would help my old memory, because I know we made some trips. I was trying to think of what kind of trips we did make during that time. We've been to Houston 3 times, yeah. No, 4. Can't remember as well as I'd like. Oh, I do know we went, again though, I think it was after we came back from Michigan, we went to Astro World.